Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome to Record Breakers, a music podcast where a group of friends gather together to share music with each other, an album at a time. It's like a little book club for music. It's all about sharing and discovery and having an open mind. I'm PD Rave, and I have a grilled cheese sandwich right here. It's right here, my hand. And here with me is my team, my triumvirate of music fans. We have David Majors, aka DJM.
Tacos buenos, muchachos. Petey. I can see your ring light.
Yes. And we have next to him we have Drew.
Hey, oh wait, never mind. I can see it in his glasses. I get it now.
It's like in my eyes. Yeah.
Makes more sense now. I was confused.
Yeah. We're here to talk about music. We're here to talk about an album, and we're here to talk about a very, very fascinating album. And it's going to be provided by David. David, what have you brought forth for us today?
It's interesting. It's fascinating. It's an album. I discovered this artist courtesy of noted Canadian entertainer Devin Townsend when Mr. Townsend and this artist put out a project called Casualties of Cool. It was sort of an alt goth country project, sort of. And her skills as a singer and a songwriter really stood out. And lo and behold, she had an album come out in January of 2023. So it felt like a right time to check it out. And when I did, quite frankly, it blew me away. And since we started doing the Record Breakers podcast again, Canada, I figured it was the right time to bring this album. And I'm talking about the album from Aimee Dorval called The Crowned.
Drew, what were your expectations coming into this album?
I didn't have any. He said it was he mentioned Devin Townsend, so I was expecting maybe a little bit more prog than we got into. But other than that, I didn't really have any expectations. So I was excited to get into it and sort of dig down and see what we got.
I saw the words hippie parents and punk rock uncles, and I was expecting something from a creative mind similar to like a Cree Summer, where somebody with a bunch of genres in their head and no concept of strict rules, and a great performance. So I was looking forward to something
Some of us
a little
just
genre
have
bending.
all of these genres in our head, and you just gotta find a way to lasagna them all together.
Exactly. So I was looking forward to a genre bending experience. David, how would you describe this album musically?
You know I hate this question, Petey. Yeah. Yet you keep asking me it. This is a very eclectic mishmash of sounds. I would describe it as something that would probably be very influenced by 90s alternative, not the teenage 90s alternative, but more of the mid to late 20s 90s alternative, where it sort of almost dips its toe in the water of adult contemporary, but not quite. There's a little bit of dream pop. There's some electronica going on. For those of us that grew up in the 90s, I would say The Crowned as an album would probably sound more at home on VH1 in the 90s than MTV in the 90s. If you pick up what I'm putting down, it's that kind of album.
Drew, how would you describe this album musically?
Usually I don't hate this question, but this time I kind of do, because there's not one thing I think I can put my finger on besides a strong vocal. It's a pop record, but it's not. It has no like heavy bass drum usage like I would think in modern pop music, right? Um, there's no real sing-alongy choruses. Uh, Nothing says digestible pop record, but yet it has a pop music sensibility to it. It isn't hard rock, but it has the hard rock elements. It's a little bit moody. It's not like a darker metal or like an emo type of moody, but there's a moodiness to it, a mysteriousness to it. It has some of those aesthetic choices that you get from like a hypnagogic, like hyper pop, vapor wavy sort of thing, but it's also not that. It's it's put together really well, and you can tell somebody sat and thought about like how they were using different instrumentation and time signatures and different soundscapes. But it's not a prog record either. Um, there is something for everyone. I feel like in this record, it is a very easy to listen to record as long as you like. Not even as long as just putting it on and like having it play. I think it's really easy to get into. But there's nothing here that I would say like if you're this person, you need to listen to this record. If you're this type of music fan, if you're that type of music fan. What I will say though is that I think if you've had a toe into pop music, or if you've been into pop music and you want to dip your toe into, when I sometimes say, like when we review a jazz or a prog record, like it feels like it's musicians making music for other musicians. Um, but you want to dip your toe into that, and you think maybe SMV is a bit too much right off the bat. One, I would call you wrong, but two, maybe this is the record that you want to turn on and see.
The Science Museum of Virginia?
Probably.
I know that's a troll because I know you know exactly the album I'm talking about. Stanley Marcus Victor?
Ah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, so musically, this is, it is a blend of ideas and genres. It's very anthemic. Very anthemic. It can feel a bit floaty, but I think that can feel really great a lot of times. You know, just kind of like having this like, this river of music that you kind of like float down. The vocals are epic and fantastic. The vocal slayage is on point. She ate and left no crumbs, as the kids would say. I hate that I said as the kids would say. I need to stop.
No, we say that. It's ironic. It's funny.
Also,
It makes the kids cringe. Make them
you know
cringe
what?
back. Damn it.
I live to be cringe. I am cringe. I am free.
as long as you
them
don't
kids.
turn into like the boomer Gen X cringe, like we're fine.
Yes. But it was expertly performed from a vocal standpoint. It was like just bombastic. I think vocally, what it reminds me a lot of, and I say this with the utmost respect, and probably I guess I don't really need to qualify that it's a respectful comparison, but I think of Lady Gaga's vocals when she really like goes up and like belts it. I felt like there's similarities like that where there's just a very solid, fantastic like energy to the vocals that just punches through in the performance, which I'm always here for. And musically, it is just a nice blend of like different styles of like, you know, it gets described of like there's trip hop in there, there's like pop in there, there's like alternative in there, there's it's a little bit more like
the word folktronica was used.
yes which is fantastic. It is an eclectic mix of styles and genres that I think just feels right. I think if anything, sometimes like things blend into each other. If anything, we'll talk about like the tracks, but I think it still has some really good highlights here and there among those like moments and among that flow. But let's talk about tracks. David, what will be some of the key tracks for you or key moments for you?
This is definitely an album of moments. There are a lot of moments throughout the album. I will just give you a few of the songs just to make it easier, but the album is full of moments, really. Track 3, Loveless. It has sort of an ethereal throwback song to, say, 1998 or 2001 that gives a little tiny hint of Portishead, and I'm here for that because Portishead is awesome. The vocal harmonies on Blood Red Sun, track 5, are definitely worth a couple of extra listens to really dig in on. And Sleeping Stoned, track 9, it brings things to sort of a calm resting point before the final 2 tracks of the album really bring it home.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what will be some of the key tracks or moments for you?
The opening with the crown, the sustained notes that she was hitting throughout the opening were just let you know right off the bat sort of the type of voice you're getting into. There's a bass note pulse that sort of rings out in your ear in lieu of like having like a heavy bass drum. It's more of like a lower tonality to the melody that sort of pulses. It's got this like sultry, brooding mysteriousness to it. Really, really good. The slowed down punk beat in Blood Red Sun. In punk rock, it's like the bass snare, bass, bass snare, bass snare, bass, bass snare. That beat is there. And like as I was doing the research, I found the same thing PD did with the hippies and punk rockers. And I was like, oh, yeah, that influence is showing here. So I was already into the track. And then there was that belted note at 2 minutes and 30 seconds that she hits that was just incredible. And then What Is Enough? Something about those, like the staccato like beats that happen throughout the song felt very Blade Runner to me, which was just awesome. Anytime something can remind me of Blade Runner, it's not necessarily a bad thing. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we go into like there's definitely it's a it's an album of moments. It starts off fantastically with the crown and like as like the thesis of the album is really insane. And you go into like Loveless where it has just this like this like soundscape that's just nice with like the there's some really nice like touches in the background, and like that's where I first started to notice like where those similarities to like a Gaga like voice started to kind of like connect with me, and that's where kind of like it got that. You have a song like Sleeping Stoned where so this album is has a lot of songs that kind of like come together and connect very very closely, but it definitely doesn't feel like you could just go for through to any track on random. And I think Sleeping Stone was the anecdotally the one that proved it for me when I had popped it, well, I connected my phone to the Bluetooth in my car and was continuing to play the album, but didn't realize that the Bluetooth, the Spotify app was shuffling it until it played Sleeping Stoned as the second track. I was like, this song doesn't belong this part of the album. No, this is weird. And then I knew it was out of place because this album has a thought out flow to it, and that song fits exactly where it is, if that makes sense. And another one that I really enjoyed was He Sort of Loved Me. He Sort of Loves Me. It just kind of stood out soundscape wise. Let's bring it back around the horn and talk about some conclusive thoughts. Drew, what would be your conclusion on this album as a whole? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I was yelling at my dog and forgot. So you kind of hit it in a way. The thing to me was that this is a record that I think anybody can listen to very easily, but it is so well thought out and so well put together that there's a lot to dive into. Knowing this person hangs out and has a ear of someone like Townsend, I think says a lot. It is something that you will go in and from the jump think you're getting one thing, and partway through you're going to get something different on almost every track. And I think it works to its benefit. I think it's something that for people like us who will listen to the same album a couple times in a row for the show, or like just dive into it in weird ways. There's a lot to it, and yet I don't think it's unapproachable.
We're album guys here.
Yeah, we
Edie,
are.
alternate title for the podcast.
Album guys.
But
we put it right next to it.
And also, her voice is just astounding. It's so clean and crisp, and like she sits in her range just so well that I can't say enough about it. It was a great record.
Vocal queen slay.
Not what I would expect to have heard in regards to Shay, but I dig it. Sure.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, this is a very slay queen record.
Sure.
She's going on tour with RuPaul like next year.
Sure it is.
Vocal slayage.
Let's go with that.
The big thing with this album, this is another album in which goes back to David's point last week of that this album is one to be approached and consumed as a whole. It is front to back a complete thought. It is it's well thought out with its construct and its pacing. It has a bunch of really great ideas. It does blend in ways, but I think in ways that are to its benefit. And it's just a nice listen. Like it is just a nice chill listen. And I think Shay is just extremely talented and extremely skilled, and I think this is just a great showcase of that. I'm looking forward to more. I hope she finds an even bigger audience. So she's doing well. She's got 32,000 monthly listeners on Spoofy. But she hopefully she blows up even further.
God, Jesus. I haven't thought about Spoofy in a while. God damn it, Petey.
David, what will be your conclusion on this album as a whole?
I have no idea what's happening with Drew right now. I first listened to this album and it really blew me away of just the level of talent and production that was all over this album. Shay's voice has already been spoken of highly. The songwriting being so unique and unlike so many other things out there. It really just felt like a next level album of a style of music that doesn't so easily fit into a box, and I love that. Also, shout out to the producer of this album and regular collaborator with Shay, the one, the only, Bob Rock, for you Metallica fans out there. I'm not going to do the bare bones obvious thing and compare Shay to other singers, but I will say, if Lilith Fair were still a thing, she would probably be a headliner with Sarah McLachlan. So if you are a fan of, say, maybe a harder-edged Sarah McLachlan or a harder-edged Alanis Morissette with more of a moody vibe, you might enjoy this. It is very different from what gets on the charts in 2023. But it is so worth your time.
Check that out. So worth it. It's so worth checking out. Y'all should check it out. You can find this album on our Spotify playlist. Play Record Breakers the home game. Do your due diligence and your due diligence. It's gonna be on our website and in the show notes. The link's right there. At recordbreakers.fun. Set up a new website for us. Recordbreakers.fun. Or recordbreakers.gay. So there's that as an option. The next album on our is going to be also on our Spotify playlist, and it's going to be. Oh wait, haiku. Yes.
I thought you were just gonna transition into the haiku.
Yeah,
I thought you were rolling.
Now we get to.
When he said next album, that's when I was like, no, hold on, I've got to vocalize something.
This is what I mean, Petey. You can't stick to a formula. You gotta be fluid, man.
We gotta be fluid. But I've got my notes here. Haikus. We got our main event of the evening. We got our haiku reviews. Let's get down to the nitty gritty.
It's been a while, folks. It's been a while.
Yes, been a while. Let's get down to our haikus. We are dorks. We really are just.
Yes, you are.
Yes. Drew, while you recover, go ahead and give us a haiku.
Oh, my next album is Stained. No, it's not Stained. Mysterious pop from a great voice and somehow greater music mind.
My haiku, right here in the middle. The vocals soar to angelic heights with grace, a seamless blending. And David, what is your haiku?
Moody but lively. Mishmash of styles that works. She deserves the world.
Absolutely. So go ahead and check her out.
Please.
Dorval. Please give her lots of love. Check her out. Check out the album.
Please listen to Casualties of Cool. And then tell Devin Townsend you want another Casualties of Cool album.
Yes. Go check that out. Okay. On that Spotify playlist, you can check out the album. And on that Spotify playlist, you can check out our next album. And it's going to be provided by Drew. Drew, what have you got for us?
Well, we're going to stick a little bit in the pop realm. And I know it's going to sound like I'm doing the leading the witness thing that I always do as a joke when I'm about to introduce a record like this, but this is actually 100% honest to God. I did not listen to this artist for some time. I wrote them off. I blame it on my old school punk brain. Like, I'm not going to listen to shit that's constantly on the radio. Like, why would I do that? And then a couple of albums came out right at the start of the pandemic that made me rethink things and give her a second chance. It is a
Petey, you should probably
artist.
put some some dramatic music under this in the post-production.
It's a smaller artist. This is the witness part. It's a smaller artist from a little town in Pennsylvania called West Reading. It is Midnights from one Taylor Allison Swift.
I presume Taylor's version.
Midnights doesn't have a version by a dickhead because it was the one it was released in
Oh,
2022.
yeah. Okay, yes.
If we did
learn the
Red
lore.
or Speak Now, we would be doing Taylor's versions because fuck that guy.
Petey,
Yes.
for the love of God, when we review this album, do fucking not tag the artist.
Like she will see.
It's not her I'm worried about.
That's true.
The you-know-whos.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the fandoms. Are fascinating.
Don't do
it. Well, we're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about T-Swizzle.
No.
We're gonna be talking about T-Sizzle next week. But that'll be next week, and this is this week, and you can of course find us all over the internet. You can find us at recordbreakers.fun or rebelli.net for this and our other shows that we have there. You can check us out live at Rebelli TV. Watch us stream live at twitch.tv/Rebelli TV for this. Through the Tomes, our D&D show, and for our GM mode playthrough and more fun things that we might have down the pipeline. But keep an eye out there. Check out the VODs at Rebelli TV on YouTube and the podcast episodes. All the things there, everywhere, and under, over, and whatnot. Until next time, hasta los huevos.
Toodaloo. And Petey, if you do, this is the last time I'm saying, live long and prosper. Don't do it.
When are we hitting the Gwitty?
I don't understand.
You can hit the Gritty, the Selly, you can crank that Soldier Boy. Just keep us away from the fucking Swifties.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.